Hey everyone, this is Josh back here with Fight Bad Medicine. This is part 2 of how to fight high blood pressure naturally. In part 1, we spoke about the mechanism behind high blood pressure. Now in part 2, we're going to understand why these natural alternatives work and how they can fix these mechanisms that led to high blood pressure in the first place. Now, whenever we talk about natural alternatives, we always have to talk about diet first. Now, the best type of diet is a whole foods plant-based diet. But specifically for high blood pressure, there's a few reasons why whole foods plant-based diet can work to lower high blood pressure. Among those things are, number one, it gives the body more antioxidant and more detoxification capabilities. Remember, you have to get rid of these free radicals and these toxins that led to blood vessel damage, that led to heart damage. So in order to actually get the blood pressure lower, you have to get rid of the culprits that caused this in the first place. And then the blood vessels can actually start to repair themselves. Another reason is because a diet high in fruits and vegetables will supply a natural source of sodium, potassium, magnesium, and these help alkalinize the blood. The blood has to remain at a certain pH, at a certain acidity level. If the blood is too acidic, the body, a second mechanism, if it doesn't have enough natural sodium, it will actually release calcium into the blood. It will actually break down the bones, which can eventually cause osteoporosis, but it will actually release the calcium into the blood. And this calcium will eventually make its way to these blood vessels and start calcifying the blood vessels. So that's another reason. The other reason is because things like potassium and magnesium can act as a diuretic, and they can actually drag out the excess fluid in the body, and that itself is going to lower the blood pressure, and it can eliminate magnesium and potassium and eliminate things through the stool, and therefore also lower the blood pressure. Those are a few reasons. There are definitely other reasons, and we're going to get into more specific foods that have certain blood pressure lowering capabilities, but in general, those are the reasons why a whole foods plant-based diet will work to lower blood pressure. Now, we spoke about magnesium. That's the first supplement I want to talk about. If there's any supplement that you want to get to lower blood pressure, it's magnesium. Magnesium, there's a lot of aspects to magnesium and why it'll lower blood pressure. We just spoke about one where it can actually drag the calcium out of the blood and back into the bones. So that's going to leave less calcium in the body to be floating around and get to the blood vessels. Another one we talked about was magnesium is going to actually help eliminate things through the stool. It's going to get rid of any excess toxins, and just moving the stool better is going to lower the blood pressure. Magnesium is also, magnesium levels will tell you exactly what your potassium levels are going to be. They're interdependent. So if your magnesium levels are low, then your potassium levels are also going to be low, necessarily. So again, you need potassium to act as a diuretic and to get rid of excess fluid from your body, and therefore keep the blood pressure balanced. Another reason magnesium works to lower blood pressure is because magnesium is very important when it comes to neurotransmitters. Whether you talk about the dopamine pathway, the serotonin pathway, or the GABA pathway, you need magnesium for these pathways to run efficiently. If these neurotransmitters are not running the way they're supposed to be, you will get high blood pressure, especially the GABA pathway. There's a reason why yoga works really well to lower blood pressure, because it acts on the parasympathetic nervous system, which is part of that is the GABA pathway. And the GABA will actually help lower the blood pressure. So if you don't have enough magnesium, your neurotransmitters are not going to work efficiently. Just by taking magnesium, if you're deficient, you may lower your blood pressure 10, 15, 20 points. It's as simple as that, as simple as taking a mineral like magnesium. Now, a supplement that I like a lot is actually a buffered vitamin C that contains magnesium, like Orthomolecular carries one. And that's where we're going to get to the second supplement is vitamin C. Vitamin C has excellent antioxidant capabilities, and it actually been shown to actually rebuild the integrity of the blood vessels and to decrease inflammation in the blood vessels, and therefore the arteries are going to be able to constrict and dilate the way they need to and regulate the blood pressure. So vitamin C Very, very important. Now I want to actually get into some lab values and then how we can address those lab values. So things that you can actually test for and what you can do about them. So in order to lower your blood pressure. So number one, we'll definitely talk about a C-reactive protein. So C-reactive protein is an inflammatory marker. You want to get the hsCRP because that's the high sensitivity C-reactive protein. And that's really correlates with what's happened with inflammation that's happening throughout the body. Now, vitamin C, really, really great at reducing C-reactive protein. Another thing that's very important is vitamin D, that if you have insufficient vitamin D, you cannot balance the pro and anti-inflammatory capabilities of the body. And so if you get too much inflammation in the body, you're going to get inflammation in the blood vessels, and you're going to get scarring and damage to the blood vessels, and then therefore plaque buildup. So vitamin D is very, very important at preventing heart disease, at preventing blood vessel damage. So make sure that your vitamin D levels are between 60 and 80 optimally. Another thing which is really great for inflammation, for reducing C-reactive protein, is curcumin. Curcumin has been shown to reduce all types of inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein, but also TNF-alpha, interleukin 6. So really, really great anti-inflammatory. There are a lot of other things like omega-3 is really important. Omega-3 has been shown to reduce inflammation. You could get your omega-3 from flax seeds, from chia seeds. If you need to raise your omega-3s, if your EPA and DHA are not sufficient, you could take flaxseed oil or algae oil to raise those omega-3s. So this leads us to our second lab value, which is fibrinogen. Fibrinogen is a clotting factor that can actually thicken the blood. We need fibrinogen to maintain the thickness of the blood, but if the blood is too thick, then someone is more at risk for blood clots. But it can also make the blood thicker in general. And we talked about how the viscosity of the blood, the thickness of the blood, can affect the blood flow. If the blood is too thick, it's going to put more pressure on the blood vessels and cause more scarring of the blood vessels. We want to keep the blood at a certain thickness. We want it to get a little bit thinner. So number one we want to talk about is drinking more water. The more water you drink, the thinner the blood is going to be. But when we get into supplements, we talked about a few already. We talked about things like omega-3. We talked about curcumin, vitamin C. These will actually thin out the blood. These are things that doctors will tell you that you need to stop before surgery because they actually thin out the blood too much. Another thing is vitamin E. You can get enough vitamin E in a good quality multivitamin. Another thing is garlic. You can eat plenty of garlic. You could take it as a supplement, and that will thin out the blood. If you really want to target fibrinogen and break down fibrinogen, the best supplement would be nattokinase. Nattokinase is actually a proteolytic enzyme, and it's derived from natto, which is fermented soy, and it actually will break down fibrinogen and make the blood thinner. It's very dangerous to have a high fibrinogen value, not just because the blood is too thick and it's putting pressure on the blood vessels, but more because you can actually form clots, and then that can lead to heart attack or stroke. So you want to make sure that your fibrinogen levels are at a certain value. The third lab value we want to talk about is cholesterol. If your LDL is too high, whether it's the small density LDL or any LDL, you are higher risk for atherosclerosis and therefore heart disease. So you need to lower the cholesterol. If a whole foods plant-based diet is not doing it, and a whole foods plant-based diet most times will do it because of its high fiber content and its low fat content, it's going to really plummet cholesterol. Now, if that's not working, then you need to go to supplements. So the first supplement to lower cholesterol, you probably all heard of it, is red yeast rice. Red yeast rice was actually the first statin. It was where all the other statins came from, but red yeast rice is a much less aggressive statin. So it'll lower cholesterol enough without giving you too much of those side effects. And if red yeast rice does cause muscle cramps, then you definitely should be taking CoQ10. You should be taking CoQ10 anyways, but the CoQ10 will balance out those effects. Another cholesterol lowering supplement are plant sterols. So sterols are found in certain oils, and they can actually drag out cholesterol in the gut, but you can take it as a supplement. Another supplement is niacin. You want to get the niacin that's actually flushing. You will get used to it after a while, but you want to take niacin to help lower your cholesterol. Sometimes you can actually find all three of these in one supplement. You know, with the reduced rice, the niacin, the plant sterols, even some CoQ10 added. You may be able to find that in one proprietary supplement. So those are supplements to help lower cholesterol. The fourth value I want to talk about is CoQ10. CoQ10 is so important to the heart. The heart is made up purely of cardiac muscle. Out of any place, of any cell in the body, the cell that contains the most mitochondria are cardiac cells. Now, mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell. So the reason why cardiac muscle has the most mitochondria is because we have to remember this is the muscle that never stops. You know, when you're sleeping, you're not really flexing your biceps that much. Your heart is consistently pumping throughout your life. Therefore, it needs the most mitochondria. It needs the most power to actually give energy to the cell. Now, CoQ10 is important in order for these mitochondria to produce ATP, which is energy. Now, CoQ10 acts as a shuttle for electrons in order to produce this ATP. Without CoQ10, you can't perform these necessary steps in order to produce energy. Not enough CoQ10, not enough energy, and the heart muscle doesn't work properly. The heart muscle doesn't work properly, you eventually have heart failure, and over time you get high blood pressure. Not a good thing. Now that we're on CoQ10, other things that help boost the mitochondria are things like L-carnitine, D-ribose, N-acetylcysteine, alpha-lipoic acid. These are going to make the heart muscle stronger. It's going to help the heart pump more efficiently. So you can actually look at your echo to see what your ejection fraction is. If your ejection fraction is running low, you definitely want to go after CoQ10 and those other things like N-acetylcysteine, alpha-lipoic acid, L-carnitine, D-ribose. If your CoQ10 levels are low, you also want to take those because those things will actually work to boost the mitochondria and to preserve CoQ10 levels and therefore give power to the heart. CoQ10 has also been shown to maintain the integrity of blood vessels and to repair the integrity of the blood vessels. So not only good for the heart, but the blood vessels too. The next lab value I want to talk about is L-arginine and ADMA, which stands for asymmetric dimethylarginine. L-arginine is an amino acid that can boost nitric oxide, and nitric oxide will dilate the blood vessels. Now, asymmetric dimethylarginine is really the antithesis of L-arginine and the opposite of L-arginine, so actually show constriction of the blood vessels. Depending on the ratio of L-arginine to asymmetric dimethylarginine, you will understand and know how much nitric oxide you have in your body. Now, if you can get tested for this, then I suggest you look at your symptoms. If you have poor circulation, if you have erectile dysfunction, then it's very likely that your nitric oxide levels are not optimal. So what type of foods can lead to higher nitric oxide? So definitely foods high in L-arginine, but also high in L-citrulline. So L-citrulline is an amino acid that is the precursor to L-arginine. So you want to get foods that are high in L-citrulline and L-arginine. Some of these foods are watermelon is fantastic, pomegranates are fantastic, dark chocolate is great. So these foods are really high in L-arginine or L-citrulline. So those are your foods. If you want to go a little bit more aggressive and take a supplement, there are great nitric oxide boosting supplements that have things like L-citrulline or L-arginine in them. Maybe grapeseed extract, which will help boost nitric oxide, sometimes pomegranate seed extract. So there are supplements that you can use to help boost nitric oxide. A sixth lab value would be proBNP. So proBNP can actually show you if the heart is pumping efficiently. So if the heart is not pumping efficiently, there's going to be this buildup of fluid in the heart, and that may show in your proBNP. Even if it's a little elevated, they may be an indication that the heart is not pumping and it's not able to actually put the blood into the blood vessels, and it's just sitting in the heart. So for proBNP, you actually want to strengthen the heart muscle, the myocardium. So the way you do that is just going back is really to supply the mitochondria with what it needs, like CoQ10, L-carnitine, D-ribose. These are a great trifecta to boost the capability of the heart muscle. Now, last but not least, I want to mention a supplement called hawthorn berry extract. So hawthorn berry extract contains many properties that are found in a lot of these blood pressure medications, but it's a lot more gentle. It's not going to cause the side effects that these blood pressure medications do, but it does have properties like beta blocker properties, ACE inhibitor properties, calcium channel blocker properties. So hawthorn berry extract is really a great supplement all around to help lower blood pressure. If you're looking for supplements to lower blood pressure, you're going to find a lot of these things that I talked about in one supplement. You might find it in a supplement called Designs for Health HTN Complex, where you're going to find things like hawthorn berry extract and grapeseed extract and magnesium, all in the same supplement. So there are great supplements out there that combine a bunch of things together to help lower blood pressure. So now, just to review, we go back to the mechanisms of high blood pressure. So we talked about the capability of the blood vessels to constrict and dilate and be flexible. So we talked about natural alternatives to actually help with the flexibility and pliability and integrity of the blood vessels. We talked about supplements to actually strengthen the heart. So if the heart is pumping better, then you're also going to decrease the blood pressure. And another thing we talked about is viscosity, the thickness of the blood, that if we're able to thin out the blood, we're also going to be able to lower the blood pressure. Now, just to review the natural alternatives we spoke about that can fix the mechanisms that led to the high blood pressure in the first place. We spoke about a whole foods plant-based diet, which is the best diet in order to do so many things, whether it's detoxification, antioxidant capabilities, at lowering cholesterol, at getting rid of the calcification in the arteries. Really a fantastic diet to do that. Now, building off that, we spoke about some supplements. We spoke about magnesium at length, where it has capability of relaxing the blood vessels, getting rid of that extra calcium, working on the parasympathetic nervous system, eliminating toxins from the stool. Really great supplement for lowering blood pressure. We spoke about supplements that could lower inflammation, like vitamin C, vitamin D, omega-3. We talked about supplements that can thin the blood and also lower inflammation, like curcumin, vitamin E, garlic, omega-3 again. We spoke about a really great blood thinner that can break down fibrinogen and nattokinase. We spoke about cholesterol-lowering supplements like red yeast rice, plant sterols, niacin. We spoke about supplements and foods that can help boost nitric oxide, like pomegranate, watermelon, dark chocolate, L-arginine, citrulline, grapeseed extract. We spoke about supplements that help boost the strength of the heart. So we spoke about things that really optimize the mitochondria. So your CoQ10, the L-carnitine, your D-ribose and acetylcysteine, alpha-lipoic acid. And then we spoke about a supplement that's really an all-around good high blood pressure supplement is hawthorn berry extract. So now we spoke about diet, we spoke about supplements. Just want to talk about how exercise is really beneficial, how it works on the parasympathetic nervous system, how it balances the hormones. Exercise is very important for lowering blood pressure, helps give the heart more strength, which can lower the blood pressure. Exercise is very important. Going for counseling, meditation, working on your emotions is very important for lowering blood pressure because it will work on the parasympathetic nervous system, and stress will raise blood pressure. So that's very important. So we really spoke about all aspects of natural alternatives. We spoke about diet, we spoke about supplements, exercise, stress. These are all important and should be all done together. And if you have high blood pressure, get on it right now. Start changing your diet, start getting a whole foods plant-based diet, start exercising, start meditating, and get on a couple of supplements right off the bat, magnesium and vitamin D and CoQ10. Those are definitely things you should be on, and then you can get tested for the rest, and get a good supplement to boost your mitochondria. Mitocore from Orthomolecular is great. If you feel you have poor circulation, get a supplement for nitric oxide. Orthomolecular also makes a great one. HTN complex from Designs for Health is really good at lowering blood pressure in general. But start with the basics. Start with diet. Start with stress. Start with sleep. Start with exercise, and then move on to the more specific supplements, but at least get your magnesium, your vitamin D, your CoQ10. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you have any questions, leave them below in the comments. Subscribe to our channel to receive more of these great videos, and visit arcwellnesscenter.com to look at our blog, to look at more videos that we've got posted and other postings from other health practitioners and nutritional experts. And we've got a great shop where you can find all these supplements. And if you ever need any help, any advice, please email us at arcwellnesscenter@gmail.com. Have a great day and fight bad medicine.